Hello, children. Are you ready for some cutting up and kikiing? Are you ready for a gay old time? Well, I hope you are, because now it's time for Hey Qween with your host, Jonny McGovern.
Hey Qween, come on and spill the tea. Hey Qween, it's just a good old-fashioned kiki. Hey Qween, we're cutting up with Jonny. Hey, 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 hey Qween.
Hello, my beautiful party monsters, and welcome to another faggoty episode of with me, your host, Jonny McGovern. Oh, we have a very scrodla-da episode for you today. America's favorite glamour addict, the one, the only, the club kid icon, Jaymes is here! Yay! Oh, he's really gonna give it to us. I'm so excited. But before we bring him out, there's another wonder child I have to introduce. She's the bump K of life. She's mastered the art of making a grand entrance, and she's better than a 10-inch dick, and you know it. It's Miss Lady Red Couture! Yeah! Oh, well, hey, Qween. Or should I say, hey, 90s soul sister? You look like you're from a girl group in the 90s today.
You know, I feel like I'm like the bone collector right now.
The bone collector?
Yes, this is the bitch I slayed on Tuesday. This is the bitch I slayed last night.
Oh,
no, I'm kidding.
The bone collector.
The bone collector.
You took my nice, innocent 90s girl group lady, and you were like, let me just add murder.
Well,
Let me add some murder in there, and that. Everything tastes better with murder, baby.
listen, ain't nothing wrong with killing a couple of crows, because you know what they call more than one crow? A murder.
Oh, yeah, murder crows. And you didn't know you were going to get a vocabulary lesson today, but you did. I do love this outfit, and I love the hair is what I really love.
Well, child, I gotta do something. These girls are serving it today, Miss. And I got look at this.
Well, speaking
Oh
of
my
which,
God.
our guest band leader is still in the house. Adam Joseph is on tour in
Yes.
Europe, Europing around, playing in bathhouses, singing into penises. And of course, we needed someone to take his place. Now, she doesn't know how to play any instruments, but that doesn't matter. She looks good. It's Miss Erica Audience and the Wake Up Wigs.
Oh.
Jaymes, St. James. Jaymes, St. James. Jaymes, St. James. Jaymes, St. James. Jaymes, St. James.
Oh, Lord.
Oh my goodness.
I got to it finally.
You know what the thing is? Whoa. The Wake Up Wigs won't stop. Oh, they won't stop.
They just keep going and going. And going and going and going.
They're good.
They're so good that they don't ever want to stop wigging.
They never want to stop wigging.
The wigs that never stopped wigging.
I think that's the name of your new TV movie coming out.
I think it
The
should be.
Wigs That Never Stop Wigging.
Oh, my goodness.
NBC Sunday family movie starring Erica Aviance and the Wake Up Wigs.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what's great about you? You're like a lyrical genius. The lyrics of that song were so good.
Thank you. I came up with them like all on my own. I really dug deep and found something personal to me, and then expressed it through song.
Oh, well, you know what? You did it. Bravo, Erica.
Thank you.
And the Wake Up Wigs. Maybe y'all could get Lady Red looks like she's filling in for Dawn Robinson in Vogue, and then you look like a alien that came to kidnap them from another planet. I think this is great.
I love it too.
Well, very well done, Erica Couture. I think we've come to the end of her Computron cycle. Well, we don't have any time to waste, Lady Red, because there's a whole lot of talking to happen today.
Yes.
A whole lot of stories, a lot of tea spilling.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. The legendary Jaymes St. James is on the show today. Yeah. And we'll be back with him after this very gay break. Yeah.
St. James. James. St. James.
Hey Qween,
What's up, everybody? It's Jonny.
And Lady Red.
Breaking into your regularly scheduled program to let you know about an amazing show we have coming up in San Francisco.
Yes!
We're going to Mother Heklina's fantastic Oasis nightclub.
Goodness.
Saturday night, we'll be hosting the front room at Mother. I'll be DJing, Lady Red performing, and we're going to have a key. And then the next night, we'll be debuting our brand new cabaret show.
Oh,
Called
my goodness.
Work Queen. Because we say hey on TV, but when we hit the stage, we work. It's gonna be music,
Fun!
comedy.
All kind of stuff.
It's gonna be incredible. Make sure you check it out, and you can get tickets right here.
Go get them,
See you there. We'll be there. Be there both nights. Why don't you?
Why don't you?
Why don't you?
Yeah!
Work Queen coming to Oasis June 11th and 12th.
Work!
Hey, Qween.
Oh, we are back. My guest today is an author, a club kid, an interviewer, and so many things. There's so many commas that go along with it. Plus, he's doing hand motions behind my teleprompter, and it's distracting me, but he's a legend. He's the most legendy legend of them all. It's Mr. Jaymes. Say Jaymes! Oh. Jaymes. Come on. Jaymes and Jaymes.
I have a theme song.
I
That
think
is
you
so
should only
wonderful.
ever enter to that song.
I think you need to follow me every day, everywhere at work. Just stand behind me in my computer. Jaymes. St.
There'll be
James.
a lot of glitches, but I'll do my best.
That is actually an amazing idea. You're a world of wonder, working on the blog. You decide to get up for a cup of coffee, and you're like, Erica, I'm ready. She's like, Jaymes,
St. James. James. St. James. I love it.
Well, just let me take a minute to look at her. Look at all of her. Thank you for dressing exactly in the color scheme of the new set.
I was thinking I would do like sort of matching colors, but I sort of blend in a little bit, don't I? It's like
it.
all you have is like two nose holes and a mouth, and the rest, you can't even tell I'm
set
here.
is talking. How is it happening? And you must have had an unfortunate accident on the way over. You were run over by a truck.
Well, it's supposed to be sort of like a white trash, sort of like roadkill.
Oh, yeah, I got
it. Yeah.
I got it and I love it.
Thank you, darling.
Jaymes,
How are you?
Jaymes. Oh, I'm good. I'm so excited to get you on the show.
I am so excited to be here.
Now, Transformations is just incredible. It's become like a rite of passage for any queen of note. You're nobody until you got your Transformations with Jaymes.
Exactly. Yes, and that's how we want it. I started doing it because I noticed that when you Googled my name. And you went to Google Images, there were nothing but pictures of me in K-holes, lying in gutters, with my eyes rolling back. And I thought, I need to have some nice pictures out there on the internet. So I thought, well, I can get Matthew Anderson.
Yeah.
I can start getting the drag queens. And then it sort of went from there. And I realized that, like, I have so many friends that like have these amazing looks. You've got to come on. You look absolutely amazing. And I just like sort of like noodling around in people's heads and seeing where their looks come from and how they get to them, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's so fun to see the secrets behind the beats.
Yes, and there have been some of my favorite ones are people that you don't necessarily know. You know, that I sort of like find out there was a girl like Luscious Massacre in Texas. And like an abortion and like just there's like Nina Bonina Brown. Like there's just some drag queens out there in the middle of nowhere that are like cooking up these little weird looks in their and they don't go out. They just sort of sit at home and you know.
Yeah, new style.
Yeah.
No clubs.
You don't need to club to be a star.
And, or just your phone and a makeup kit.
Exactly. And then kaboom, you're a star.
Yeah, exactly.
God bless 2016, right?
I mean, all of these children, like you've said, should be paying you royalties. All the Vine stars, all the Instagram stars.
But you know, I mean, I went out for 30 years before anybody paid me any attention, and so it's So it's nice that these kids like have this whole new avenue for success.
It really is. You don't have to spend the time getting addicted to drugs at the club to get your nightlife experience.
You don't have exactly.
You don't have to get addicted to drugs anymore.
No, okay. You don't have to get in any scandals. You don't need to. Yeah.
Oh, but you've had plenty of that, and you've lived. If there's someone who's lived with a capital L, it is you, honey.
The wrinkles tell the story, I tell you.
I'm not seeing any wrinkles. I'm seeing flawless porcelain.
Oh, thank
My
you.
goodness.
Johnny.
Give us a little nail cam just for the children.
It's,
Can we get a close-up on those nails, please?
They're
Here's your
velvet.
camera right here with the red light on it.
I'm sorry. They're velvet. Feel them.
They're velvet? Oh my goodness! Erica Couture, this is your greatest day. You're allowed to move to touch, Erica.
Come feel them.
I
They're
don't
really
know
fun.
what to do.
Aren't they?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Gorgeous. Love it. Let's go back in the time machine. Now, there's normally a time machine sound effect, but Erica Couture doesn't know how to do it. So, Erica, make one with your mouth. That's good. I was like, Erica Couture, the time machine, it's not the wind machine.
It's Beyonce's time machine.
All right, time to go back in the time machine. Okay. So you grew up in Fort Lauderdale, right?
Fort Lauderdale. Well, Dad was in Fort Lauderdale, Mother was in Michigan, and I sort of went back and forth between the two.
Oh, okay. And your growing up was a lot like Billy Bloom in Freak Show, where you were very different.
Yes. I was a little freak, and there was I experienced some bullying in school. Yeah, it was sort of hard. I remember I found a copy of Andy Warhol's book Popism in ninth grade.
Yeah.
And it like opened up so many doors in my mind, and I remember just thinking like that somewhere out there was my tribe, that somewhere out there were freaks like me, and all I had to do was get to them. I just had to get to New York. And so every day I carried the book with me, and I just looked at it all the time, and I remember I made plans like who I was going to meet, where I was going to live, what clubs I was going to go to, what restaurants I was going to.
Right.
I like had little notes of everything, and I just it was just. That's how I got through it. I remember it was like I had a plan. I was gonna get out. I was gonna find my tribe. I was gonna, be with my people, and that's what sort of got me through.
Yeah.
And then I moved to New York.
All right, in '84. So you went straight from Fort Lauderdale after high school?
Yeah,
to New York?
I went to go to New York. I was at NYU studying experimental theater.
Right.
And
a very useful degree for a professional. Don't I know it? I also studied theater. Okay.
I didn't last very long because I wanted to be a performance artist. That was my goal.
Right.
And I soon realized that like I could get just as much attention standing at a club that I ever could go, spending 4 years at school and learning to shove yams up my ass.
Exactly.
So I got there. I started going out in. I don't know how much we're going into.
I want to go deep, honey. And let's start with this.
Okay.
New York, 1984. It's if you are a younger person who visited New York, you saw it was nice in Times Square, and then we went and got sundaes, and it was different, honey. New York 1984, please paint the picture.
New York in 1984, especially like the East Village in 1984, there were large expanses of just fields and like tenement slums and empty buildings. Like there's no empty fields anymore in New York City anyway. But there were entire blocks that like there was like bombed out. There was nothing there. You had to take a tank to go to like some of the clubs down there. I mean, it was rough, but it was a time when there was a lot of new ideas that were in the air. The 80s were, it was more colorful. It was just bigger. It was more fabulous. It was louder. It was, conspicuous consumption, excess.
Right. Everyone was doing, they had tons of money. There were people doing drugs. Or money was in New York. Not everyone had the money, but you could sneak your way into the clubs.
But you could also be poor at that time in New York. Yeah. Like in a way that you can't be poor there now.
Oh my God. There's something funny. Eric and I used to talk about how we were able to be very poor in New New York, but for some reason, live a glamorous lifestyle. It's not possible anymore.
No, because there were times when I was really, really broke, and I would go to gallery openings and eat like the crudités. That would be dinner. I would eat hors d'oeuvres, and then I would go to like dinner parties, and then I would there was never a dearth of opportunity for you to fill up on champagne and cocktail.
Lady Red, I'd like to see you back in the day going to those parties, eating hors d'oeuvres, eating them all up.
I like hors d'oeuvres.
I bet you do.
It was also a time when, Andy Warhol was still going around.
Right, and all the factory stars were still kicking it.
There was still, I remember seeing Greta Garbo walking down the street one time. I remember one time walking down a street, and it was like midnight, and it was snowing, and it was like a cobblestone street, and Jackie Onassis walked out of a restaurant, and she had two men on either side of her in tuxedos, and she was like in a full-length mink, and it was me and her walking down the street, passing each other, and she just sort of smiled, and I was just like, this is New York. This is what I'm here for. This is it. So, it was a very different time. I don't think, So, and I feel blessed that I was there during that time.
We will not have again.
It's
unless
very
a
true.
Nuclear bomb drops on New York City. It's not going to happen. Because the rent is too damn high.
Well, that's just it. I could never live there again because you would have, $14,000 for rent.
Yeah, exactly.
I had an apartment that I was paying $1,000, and when I left, it went up to $6,000, and then it went up to $12,000, and now it's $14,000.
Exactly.
Who can do that? Who can do that?
And so when you started, you're there, you're at NYU. What was the first club that you went to?
Well, there was this club called Area. I don't know if you've ever
heard of it. Yeah.
And Area was you would say the name and people would quake because it would to get into Area was you had made it. You were it. And I found this girl in class, Lisa Edelstein.
Okay. Lisa Edelstein, who's now starring on Bravo?
Lisa Edelstein, who was on Star House. And I decided I was going to make her my superstar. I was going to be she was going to be Edie to my Andy. And we started going out. We would hit the clubs every night, and we would go to Area, and we would get in and just stand in the corner and just gasp at Boy George and David Bowie and Andy Warhol and everybody. It was. I remember, to me, that is the most glamorous thing that I've ever seen was that scene there. Yeah. The club kids, everything that came afterwards, raving, to me, nothing will ever top that for what I first saw when I got into New York.
Right. And then how did so you and Lisa, you started going out, and how did the look start to evolve that eventually turned into the club kid look and whatever, but what was the evolution of your look?
Well, it was during this time when there was John Sex, Diane Brill, Terry Toy. There were all these downtown superstars.
If you don't know who we're talking about, there's a machine in front of you. This is for you too, Erica. Google it, okay?
And so I wanted to be a part of that crowd. I wanted to sort of be a downtown superstar.
Yeah.
And I remember it was about 2 or 3 months into going out that I was stopped at a fashion show, and a woman said that she was doing a story on New York nightlife, and would I show her around? And I was I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew who I was or anything. And I was like, sure, of course, darling, follow me. I will show you the world. And so I just bullshitted my way through, and it was for Newsweek magazine. And Newsweek had this story, and it was celebutante Jaymes St. James. And it was they made up this word celebutante. And I had realized that anybody could become famous downtown New York. There were, famous hairdressers and famous store people and famous DJs and famous busboys. And as long as you had a descriptive title in front of your name, then they could write about you, and they would say, famous hairdresser Danilo, famous, DJ Anita Sarko. And so once they put a name in front of my name, once they put celebutante in front of Jaymes St. James, then all of a sudden I was written about all over the place, and it was it became a self-fulfilling prophecy thing, and I was a downtown superstar, even though it had only been 3 months that I'd been going out.
My goodness.
And everyone was sort of a little irritated with me.
I bet they were. Lady Red, I know you, if you were one of those people back in the day,
who the hell is this little twink running around?
I would have been go, you little heifer, come here. Give me some of that shine.
And so then I started getting. I was invited on to Oprah and invited on to did a bunch of like shows.
So that happened before the Limelight universe started to begin.
This is pre-Club Kid era.
So pre-Club Kid era, that's when you started to go.
I was the it boy. I was celebrant James St. James.
Yes.
And I was dressing, sort of perfecting my look then, doing like sort of just like kooky, wacky, looks.
Conflama on conflama?
Conflama eleganza with
Conflama with a little eleganza.
With the crinolines and the big headpieces and everything like that.
Uh-huh.
And
Erica Couture, I hope you know you're in the presence of your mother.
So in 1987, I guess we're up to,
right.
That's when Andy died. That's when Andy Warhol died.
Yeah.
And when that happened, there was like this death of downtown is what they called it.
Uh-huh.
And it was sort of like at that point, Andy was the person who sort of united all the different factions of New York. There was uptown, downtown, Broadway,
Right, because he was the ultimate curator, brought all those stars and created stars.
And he was the only person who could like move between all those scenes with ease. And so when that happened, it seemed like New York sort of like fractured and everybody went their own different ways. And the people downtown, it sort of seemed like the party was over for a little while. And a lot of those people wanted to move on and wanted to, take their downtown celebrity and go to Hollywood or something. So there was like a vacuum in the scene, and that's when Michael Alig showed up. And I noticed Michael in the periphery, sort of watching all of us.
So lurking.
So sort of lurking in the darkness, watching Michael Musto and me, and seeing, Diane Brill and everybody, how they were sort of doing what they were doing. And then when Warhol died, Michael had a party at the Tunnel, and that sort of became the de facto place to be.
Right.
And Michael sort of used that vacuum to sort of promote himself. And there was a New York Magazine article that put him on the cover March '87, I think. And it said Club Kids. And until that time, they weren't called Club Kids. They were just the Tunnel Kids.
Right.
But it's that thing, like I said, about how like once you have a description in front of your name, then all of a sudden you're allowed to become famous. And like once it became Club Kid Michael Alig, then that's when all of a sudden he sort of like exploded. Mm-hmm. And at first, I was hesitant to be a part of it, but like I said, all my friends were sort of moving on, and I was only 21 years old.
Wow.
And I wasn't ready to move on.
Yeah,
yet,
you were like, I'm still right in the mix.
I know, I'm like, I still wanted to party and play and have fun and everything. So that's when I started falling in with the Club Kids. And I was in love with Keoki. I was in love with Michael Alig's boyfriend. And so the only way I could hang out with him was, oh God, can I say that?
Yes, say everything.
Well,
The only way you could hang out with them
was if I started doing a lot of coke with him.
Yeah, okay.
So I wasn't really doing drugs at that point, but then all of a sudden I was out every night.
Yeah, you're like, what better way to spend 8 hours with someone face to face?
Exactly, in a bathroom stall.
Like bathroom stall, leading to the after hours, leading to the 10 a.m., whatever, all the rest.
And Michael Alig wasn't doing drugs at the time. So that was my little alone time with Keoki. It was disgusting. I'm so ashamed. But that and that lasted like 6 to 8 months, whatever, and I would just chase Keoki around. It was just the worst. But so that was how I got into the Club Kid scene.
And the looks that you were doing beforehand started to get translated.
Well, that's what I keep saying. That I was there first. I was doing it first, and everybody else was copying me.
Exactly.
So the entire scene they were copying me.
Well, you're here on Hey Qween and they're not. We can make that a declaration. That's now the truth.
That is the truth.
That's the great part of being on the show like this.
And
James St. James started the Club Kids.
I was number one. I was there first.
You're number one.
Yes.
You're number one. You're number one. Lady Red. You're number one. Yeah. What?
Now, to be fair, though, that there were a lot of really, really creative people in that scene
Right.
at that time. And the people that came out of it, you know, like when you think of Kabuki and Matthew Anderson.
Of course.
And Zaldi, you think of Amanda Lepore.
I mean, really?
And none of those people, I mean, I'm not taking credit for them because, by God,
Right.
they are all geniuses.
They are geniuses.
And there were just some really amazing people at that time in that little scene right there.
So when did it start? So when did the Limelight Party Monster era truly ignite?
You mean when did it sort of start falling apart and get
Well, yeah,
druggy
okay,
and-
so I guess that's what happened, because it got to these amazing heights, and then everybody got really fucked up on drugs, really fucked up, because you're spending hours and hours and hours at a club. It's your job, and what is there to do? Tons of drugs.
Well, yes. I left New York in '91. I wanted to see if I could write. I wanted to sort of go away, and I was having like a little coke problem, and so I thought, well, I'll move to South Beach. Like, you know, coke problem. You move to Miami. I don't know what was going on in my head.
Yes.
But anyway, so I went to Miami for about 2 years. Then I came out to LA for a while, and when I came back to New York in '93, that's when things had started getting a little dark, and that's when I noticed everyone's little coke problem had turned into crack problems and heroin problems, and everybody had sort of taken another step down. And from '93 to '96 is when it was just it got really dark really fast.
And that was so that was at Limelight, and that was Disco 2000. And if you want to know all the details of what happened, it's in a wonderful book. The book is called Party Monster.
Yeah.
It's also a film, you might know. So we don't have to dredge it all up again. Needless to say, that shit got dark. Murder. Special K, cutting up bodies. And where were you in relation to what was
I wasn't
happening?
anywhere near it that night.
This is like, little did you know, this is Murder, She Wrote. Girl. That's our new series, Murder, She Wrote. Girl.
Here we are laughing about it, but
It's not funny.
No, it is not.
So that must have been a real scary wake-up call for everybody in that whole scene.
You would think so.
But not.
But it
was not.
Because
just a reason to do more drugs.
that's exactly what happened. When that happened, you don't really know how you're going to get out of it or how it's going to shake out, and like your first instinct is just to escape into more drugs, which is sort of what everyone did. I knew. Like I said, I left New York, and I was trying to write, and I'd written something, and I thought, maybe I can write. Maybe I can, that will be my way out of this. And I know that Randy and Fenton from World of Wonder came to New York to do a documentary about club kids.
Right.
And they started to film at my house, and they were talking to Michael and Richie and me and Genitalia and a bunch of people. And it wasn't until they started interviewing Michael, and Michael came out with that line about, I killed him, he wasn't a good, like that. And Randy and Fenton looked at each other and realized that this documentary about club kids was suddenly a whole different thing.
Right.
And they realized sort of what was going on. And I remember I took them aside afterwards, and I said, you know, I've written this book, and I don't really know what to do with it. And I was wondering if maybe, like, you could help me. Because at that time, they had done RuPaul, they had done Supermodel, and every drag queen in the world was thinking World of Wonder was their salvation. World of Wonder was going to make them a star.
Interestingly enough, it's the same today.
And so I remember thinking to myself, they can help. If they helped RuPaul, they can help me.
Right.
And so they said, you know, well, let's look at it, and we're going back to LA. And then I thought, well, maybe I need to move to LA. And that was my way out. I thought I knew at this point, like Steve Lewis, a bunch of people in the club scene were being arrested. Peter Gatien, the mayor was trying to get Peter Gatien, who was the king of the clubs. He owned all the clubs. And I realized at this point, Brooke was arrested. Like, I thought that my next couple of years was going to be nothing but testifying against my friends.
Right.
And I figured I don't want that. And I thought if I move to LA, maybe they won't be able to find me. Maybe I'll sort of escape all of that. And side note, they came to LA. The FBI came to LA to talk to me. And I took them out to lunch. And I said...
I took them out to lunch. God bless you, Jaymes.
Well, they showed up at my door, and I was like, you can't come in here. And so I said, take me out to lunch, and we'll talk about this. And I said, you know, look, I'm a hostile witness. I said, you guys, the DEA has destroyed every party, every after-hours party I've ever done.
Right.
You know, like, you can put me on the stage. I'm not going to be happy about it. And know that I'm a ketamine addict, and I've been hallucinating for the past 4 years. And I've thought that I was traipsing around Buckingham Palace this whole time. And if you want me on the, you know, on testifying that, you know, I'm like the definition of an unreliable witness. So they said, that's okay. We don't need you after all.
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir,
you. Yeah.
madam, whoever you are.
Exactly. So then I'm out in LA, and I go to see Randy and Fenton, and I say, here's this book, and they look at it and they read it and they say, yeah, this is really good. It was a story of my, like, sort of in the club scene and, you know, doing drugs and blah, blah, blah. They said, this is all great, but why don't you put Michael Alig in it? And I was like, oh, like, I don't want to write a book about Michael Alig.
Right.
And they said, well, why don't you write another book about what just happened, and then we'll try and sell both books together as one thing. I was like, oh, okay. And so I wrote, like, you know, just quickly, like, oh, fuck it, blah, blah, blah. And I typed out this book. It became Disco Bloodbath Party Monster. And they sold that and then never sold the other book.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want anything to do with this book. God damn it, Michael. I own fucking Michael. I leave to get away from him, and I can't
all I gotta do is write
about Michael Alig. So then that happened, and then they made the movie, and I was never able to escape it.
Right.
And I sort of like came to peace with it at one point and realized that, I mean, when I'm 80 years old, people are still going to be wanting to talk about it.
Right.
And if I really had a problem with it, I'm going to have, you know, it's going to be a problem.
Right. It'll be more drama than it's worth just talking about it.
You know, because I'm in line at 7-Eleven, and someone's like, aren't you, tell me about what happened with Michael Alig.
Oh, my God.
Like, I mean.
You're like, I wrote a book about it!
Well, and that's what I thought. I thought at the time, like, I'll write this book, and then if anyone ever asks me, I'll just point to the book and say, just read that, and I'll never have to talk about it again.
Yeah, but not the case.
Here we are. So we just did a documentary, a follow-up with Michael, After Party, we're calling it.
Right.
And that's because we were there when he got out of prison, and Michael had never, you know, been on the internet. He'd never had a cell phone. He didn't, you know, he'd never seen
Yes, you wrote him a very good letter, letting him know what he had missed and what he should catch up on.
Right. So we followed him around for a while to see how he would acclimate to the new world, and you know, that's coming out soon. So hopefully, maybe, who knows. So there's that.
Right.
Yes.
And continuing millions of transformations. And just being legendary takes a lot of work. There she is.
You have no idea.
There she is. And darling, you are so legendary. You snatched a trophy on it. Yeah. And you also get a lap dance.
Bring it on.
Let's get it. Do it good. Yeah, but do it. Looking like a party monster, girl. Come on.
Break my nails. Break your nails. Yeah.
You deserve it, James. Lady Red, that was the Black Lady Queen.
Hey, Qween! Hey, Qween!
Very nice. Good job, girl. That was a legend. Our lap dance. A legend. Now, don't forget, you're not going to want to go away now. You're going to to click on through to the after show where we're going to play Look at Her with Jaymes and James. You don't want to miss that. Thank you, Lady Red. Thank you, Erica Tor. And thank you, Jaymes and James.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the after show. Bye, baby.
Oh my God, he's beautiful. That was so sweet. Thank you.
Hey, hey.